we're given this chance in life to do great things. Obviously, to take care of ourselves, be self-reliant, not be a burden on others, but then also to be able to have an abundance and to be able to help other people, to extend to our family, to our community, to our church communities, the nation, like whoever, starting a new charity to help people on the other side of the world. The options are infinite, as again, referencing Jeremy, of what we can do if we have resources available to use.
All right. So in today's episode of WealthWise Banking, I want to welcome Tyler Carson. Tyler and I go way back. I knew Tyler in the military. We both fly professionally now for a major airline. And Tyler, over the last year, has really built out this really simple but designed elegantly family banking system. So when I first met Tyler and came across kind of the whole concept of infinite banking, Tyler started the policy on himself. Well, he didn't stop there. Tyler started a policy on his wife, his father, and his 5 children. And he created true generational wealth all within about a year and a half. So, Tyler, we want to welcome you on board, talk about your story, hear how you did it, why you did it, more importantly, and what's next for you. So, Tyler, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, Jason, for having me on the podcast. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and talk about my experience and what our plan, our vision is for our family and our family bank, so to speak. So happy to be here and excited to talk with you both.
Awesome.
Hey, excited to have you, man. And we always start off like our audience knows they get to play a little game here, and they know that they're better than Jeremy and I because you can't be much worse. So over to you, Jeremy. I'm glad that got you to smile.
All right. So good. So we've got 2 truths and a lie, like we always, play. And we got folks at home that are playing as well. We had a couple ties in here. I think Jason and I might be tied, but the way that it works, Tyler, is you're going to give us 2 truths, 1 lie, give an opportunity for Jason and I to guess which one is the lie. And if you're at home and you're keeping score, let us know. So, Tyler, what are your 2 truths and 1 lie?
Okay. All right. Let's see if you two can guess. All right. So I used to have a large birthmark in a visible part of my body that I had removed. That's number 1. Number 2, I was a model for a Japanese modeling agency, did a photo shoot with them. And number 3 is in college, a hobby I had was going spelunking in caves.
Oh, all right. Removing a visible birthmark, your time as a model, and going cave spelunking. I don't even know what spelunking is. So I'm not going to risk the details and try and see, like, dig in deeper. Oh, is this a lie? Is this a truth? I'm just going to go and say that's a lie because I don't know what it is. So I think it's made up. That's a lie. Jason?
I think he's just spelunker. He looks like a spelunker. I think he did some spelunking. He is adventurous. But your delivery was so good. I don't really have much to go on. I'm really just guessing out of thin air. So I'm going spelunking's true. I am going that I'm going to go that the modeling was true and the large birthmark was the lie.
All right. Reveal 2 truths, 1 lie.
Drum roll.
So yeah, I didn't really go spelunking in college. So
I told you it's made up. It's not a real thing.
well, it is a real thing. Yeah, it's like going into caves and just kind of exploring and getting all this gear and headlamps and stuff like that.
Well, hey, this is one time that my ignorance paid off, so I'm glad about that. All right.
Congratulations, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome. I was thinking this is a little unfair because Jeremy would probably know if you had a birthmark removed, but that's okay. So
we were in the military together, but we weren't bunkmates.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually, I don't know if you can see the star here. It was right there, like a big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see the scar. It looks good, man.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's why you got the modeling gig.
Yeah. Well, funny story, not to go too down a rabbit hole. So we lived in Japan for a while. My dad was with the military and we were stationed there, and a lot of a lot of Americans, a lot of foreigners, they like them having to be models. I was like 10, 11 years old at the time. And the one they called me for was, they're like reenacting some Norman Rockwell painting of this like nerdy, scrawny kid, like holding up some weights, looking at a strong man, like in his room. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get big. So yeah, that was my one modeling gig, was being the nerdy, scrawny, wimpy guy that
That's a
was
great painting.
wanting to be bigger.
That's a great painting. And look, it led to a life in the Army of serving and now doing amazing things, what you're doing with your family and what we're here to talk about. So that came true. You seeing yourself in that mirror became a reality. So it's cool.
Yeah. Maybe it's not so much physically, but yeah, maybe in other ways.
Yes.
Well, tell us, you've done this massive generational plan, right? When we really think about the Rockefeller model, right? Creating generational wealth, doing it in kind of this laddered structure that you did. You've done it. Like, you went out and you literally created 3 generations all within the last year of family banking. And I don't know like what your story is with regards like how you got into family banking, like what motivated you to do this, because it seemed like as soon as you figured it out and it kind of just clicked, you went all in. So can you tell us a little bit about your backstory? Like, where did you hear about this? What caused you to get in? And then what is your plan, on how to use these policies?
It was, this was a very lengthy process. It isn't, I'm a very thorough, deliberate person. I like researching. I overanalyze things and over research things before like even just buying something like on Amazon or whatever. I do lots of research, tech reviews. So I'd say this process really started, the idea was planted in my mind, 2012, 2013 timeframe. So yeah, about 12, 13 years ago. And it just kind of developed over these years.
Okay. Well, you said,
Who introduced you to it? How did you learn about it? Kind of where did that, I mean, that's a while ago. That's 12 plus years ago. So where did that journey start?
Yeah. So, and I guess to fully clarify, I wasn't necessarily briefed on or exposed to the actual infinite banking concept. It was more the idea of using life insurance to store wealth. I was a brand new lieutenant in the Army. My wife and I, we had our oldest son. We have 5 kids. We only had one at the time. I think maybe we were pregnant with our second, with our daughter. But anyway, it was one of these financial advisors. They were doing this thing. We're like, hey, come to this baseball game to our suite and have a free dinner and hear a little sales pitch. And so we did that just to have a fun night, a fun evening out. And then we wanted to get started with investing and anything anyway. So we set an appointment, sat down with them. A little while later, they kind of talked about 3 pillars of wealth, like savings, banking, that's 1. Investing is 2, and then insurance is 3. And so they kind of pitched us on some of these things, like, hey, do you want to do a bank with us, start a savings account? We're like, oh, no, we're good. We got this other bank. He's like, okay. How about investing? Do you want to, use our financial advisors to do investment? We're like, yeah, we're interested in that. We want to grow and get a good return, perfect retirement, all that stuff. I'm like, okay. And like, what about insurance? You guys want to do life insurance? We're like, no, I think we're good. He's like, okay, well, what about this whole life insurance? We're like, nope, we're good. No, thanks. And he's like, wait, like, guys, like, you really need life insurance. Like, what happens if I die and my wife is here with these 2 young kids? And we're just like, well, if a life-changing event happens, it's going to change our life. We don't need $2 million of insurance so that my wife never has to work again and our kids are taken care of the rest of their life. And he just like wouldn't say no, like even to the point where he called in like the owner of the branch or whatever, and he came in and gave his story. He was actually a pilot as well. He was in the Air Force, I think, and then he had a seizure one day. He's like, boom, that's it. I was uninsurable after that. So I really wish I would have done this years ago, back when I was healthy and all this stuff. And again, like they just kept almost like pressing it on us. And it sounded like kind of like a good idea. Like, hey, you can put some money in, you can build up cash value. And then after years, you've got this chunk of change. You can use a down payment for a house or pay for a car or whatever. But it was like a red flag to us almost, that they were fine with us saying no to these other services they'd offered, but like they like would not let us say no to this whole life insurance. So that was my first exposure to it. And I have to say it was actually kind of negative, just because we didn't want it and they were so pushy.
Wow. And that's I know Jeremy has a saying for this. I'm not going to steal his saying. I'm going to pass it over to him to say it. But I can relate. If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would do this, like be someone who is helping people using whole life insurance as a system, as a something that's going to guarantee growth, guarantee protection, help their family, I would have said, you could punch me in the face. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole life because I had the same exact feeling around anyone who I'd been around in the insurance industry. And so it's this very, I mean, I'm gonna let Jeremy say his saying, but I could understand like if someone's pushing that hard and they're pushing, why are they why? Like what's in it for them instead of what's it in for you, right? So
Yeah. And if you're, I think the saying that you want me to kind of reveal is no one's going to take care of you better than you take care of yourself. Is that the one?
oh, I was actually, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one too. I was actually thinking we are the lighthouse. We're not the barge, right? We're not gonna push you around, make you feel pulled and pushed. We want to guide the people to their destination by showing light and keeping them safe. So
Yeah. Be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. And that's what this guy was doing is he was the tugboat and he was pushing around and rather than be the light and showing you safe harbor, instead he was trying to push you into a decision. Well, what happens when that, that's he was also fear tactics, right? What if, and talking about all the negatives. And Jason and I, we only focus on the growth, right? We've seen how impactful this is for us to be able to multiply our wealth, but also create generational impact. And that's exactly what you've done, right? You've created generational impact with your story. So when you finally got started, what was the jump? Like why the transition? You go from a guy who's being a bar or being a tugboat to actually being a lighthouse yourself. How'd that happen?
It was time and experience and situations changed. Um, so obviously, just back then when I first thought about it, I was like, no thanks. It was a different situation. One, what he was talking about was not uh, specially structured whole life insurance, mutually owned whole life insurance. It was I'm pretty sure it was a IUL.
mm,
Um, and there was no option for like an early dump in. So we would have had like zero cash value for the first 3 years or so. Um, and then obviously we were just starting a career, we're starting a young family. We didn't have, quite frankly, we didn't really have extra money to start dumping in a life insurance policy to maybe hopefully after 10, 15 years have enough money to do something with. Um, and then, just like listening to Gordon Ramsay or my uncle who's in finance, who's smart, their motto is buy term and invest the rest. Life insurance is not investment strategy. It's not like a whatever strategy. It's just buy term. That was as far as I went with whole life insurance. Anyway, and then fast forward a few more years, I'm a little older, have a little more money in the bank account. Um, I have a couple of rental properties. I've got money in a retirement fund. We have more assets. We have more wealth. It's like, okay, what are other ways we can branch out to protect what we have and still use money, not have it be liquid that we can still access we need, not like just putting money in an IRA or 401k that you can't really touch until you hit retirement age. And then also just various experiences in life, having friends or family members that had health issues, or even my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, his dad passed away unexpectedly.
mm.
And he was my brother-in-law was the one that kind of dealt with that, managing his estate and the burial and everything. And I remember my sister's comment was, man, like always have at least some sort of life insurance because, the funeral costs money and it's such a stressful time. You don't have to worry about money too. So things like that. And then even just people at church, I know, I was in a position at church where I kind of volunteered to help people who are having financial, welfare struggles, like, hey, they're having trouble making ends meet. So I would kind of help them, look at their budget, see where they could cut expenses, and also give some assistance from the church to help them out. And there were a number of people that I worked with that, so the husband had died unexpectedly of a heart attack. The wife developed terminal cancer, and then their kids who were adult age, but had some handicaps and stuff. They weren't, too sure they could work for themselves, provide for themselves. Like it looked really bleak. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen to this family, to these kids, like as the providers, the parents pass away, like what's going to happen to this family? So all these things, time, different circumstances, more life experience, more experience seeing disaster or tragedy strike, made me think, hey, maybe I should get some insurance. And then the kicker too was when Jeremy, you and one of our other mutual friends reached out to me and talked about Nelson Nash and infinite banking concept, the book. I read the book. So again, it's not just about insurance. It's almost using your life insurance policy as a savings account that you can still get returns. You can make, interest or dividends on it, but then also you can access that money to use while you're still alive before you retire. So it's kind of a good combination of having money for a rainy day or an investment opportunity, and then also covering yourself for disaster.
Yeah, Jason and I actually in a previous episode discussed, if you had a machine that just literally printed money all day long, what would you do to protect that machine? And what a lot of folks fail to remember is that you're that machine, right? In your business, in your life, you are the thing that prints money. And the true essence of life insurance at the end of the day is income replacement. We just happen to structure it to maximize the cash value so you would maximize the living benefits. So yes, there is the death benefit component that you have, but don't forget you have the living benefits of a properly engineered policy. And that's why we say it needs to be properly engineered. Otherwise, if you go down to Jake from State Farm, what's he going to do? He's going to talk to you about death benefit all day long. That is a very, very important component, right? But it's not the only component, and it should not be the only way that this is structured. We want to maximize the living benefits.
And it sounds like, and I love what you were sharing. Well said, Jeremy. What Tyler was sharing was very much that life was happening for you. Like tragedies were showing up in church around you and families around you. And you were able to see, wait a minute, we need a way to protect our family. We need a way to control the environment, our financial environment. We don't know what's coming up in the near future, right? With what's going on in the market, what's the economy going to look like. But what you're sharing is you build an opportunity fund and you build it up over time. Now it doesn't really matter as much what happens in the world of finances because you're protected. Opportunities are going to find you because you are the one that has the money and controls the money and has that liquidity to use it in a tax-free environment. So it's really powerful. And I'm curious, since Jeremy kind of letting us know that you've got 3 generations protected. So maybe a little bit of clarity on the roadmap, like where did you start? Why did you start? And where did you do the next one? Just to give people who are thinking, hey, I don't even know what it is to be a bank. What does he mean 3 generations?
Yep. So just kind of picking up where I left off. Yeah, Jeremy and another one of our friends, Landon, reached out to me like, hey, we're doing this infinite banking thing. They were not necessarily, I can't remember if you guys started your own business or working for someone else. Anyway, part of the point of the story is you guys I first heard about it a decade ago, and then I heard about it more recently from you guys in I think it was 2001-ish when all 3 of us were just getting out of the Army. And that I had time to think about it, process it, have more experiences. And then having the actual, it's not just about the insurance, using insurance, it's using the method and the structure of the infinite banking concept. And so just hearing them spell it out more clearly, the actual method, not just the structure. And then the biggest selling point for me was that you could do a one-time dump, an initial, you could put a bunch of money in there and have it be able to pull it out right away instead of having to wait 5-10 years to get a good chunk of money. So once you told me about that opportunity, it seemed like a pretty good deal because I had over the years put money in cryptocurrency and watch it go from low to super high, sweet, this is awesome, and then it crashed back down to lower than what I bought it for. I'm not good at timing the market. I'm not a day trader. I think I'm super cool buying the stock and it goes up and then the next year it tanks. So for me personally, I've tried dabbling in these more volatile investment strategies and got it. This is not an investment, but it's a way to get guaranteed, expected, anticipated growth. I don't have to check my phone 5 times a day. Oh, how's the stock doing? How's this crypto doing? I know what I'm going to get year after year. And then I can use that money while it's growing, while it's building while the cash value is growing, I can then pull that money out, take a loan out against my policy to use it for opportunities as well. So once we were kind of sold on the idea, I read the book. I read a couple other books that Jeremy recommended and got a good feel for the concept, how to do it properly. And so we got started with my wife and I. We had a certain amount of money that we put in as a dump in, and then a certain amount of money we're going to pay for the next, years for our annual premium. And we were so excited about it and said, "Hey, this is awesome." So I started talking to my parents about it, and my dad researched it and said, "Yeah, actually, this is good. Let's do this too." So got my dad involved, and then here we are, almost 2 years later, just shy of 2 years later. Again, I've had the opportunity to use some of the cash in our policy, take a loan from that policy, whether it's for investing or lending money out to someone and getting interest on that lending, using it to pay for cars and paying ourselves back, having a big chunk of cash I can pull out for a business opportunity or investment opportunity. We were kind of sold on the idea of that, and then so we ended up just a couple months ago now, last month actually, I think we finally closed on it, the policies for our 5 kids. So it started with my wife and I, then my dad, and then our 5 kids. That's the 3 generations.
That's
In
awesome.
fact, so when
So
I did those policies for your 5 kids, could you talk a little, if you're okay with it, a little bit about like what it looks like when you talked about, hey, I did this lump sum, and how that growth, because I know the big thing when we designed those was using these policies to supplement your children's future retirement. But I want to kind of explain everything gets better with time, right? These policies, when you have so much runway left in life, you have more time for compounding effects. And so the way that, if I recall correctly, um, most of your kids were all set up in the 7-figure range of retirement where they can literally access that to help supplement their retirement. Again, non-market correlated growth, not tied to a stock market, crypto. It was predictable returns, exactly what Tyler said. The entire time, can they use it for stock markets? Absolutely. Could they use it for purchases? Absolutely, they can. It's a both and strategy. But if you have that available, I think it's really important for people to hear from your mouth, like, what does that look like and how you're setting up true generational wealth for your kids?
Yeah, I have some of the highlights from the illustrations here. So again, we got 5 kids. I'm going to round up their age. We got some birthdays coming up, but their oldest is 12, next is 10-year-old. Then we have 8-year-old twins and a 5-year-old. So here's some numbers for them. So our oldest, who's 12 now, by the time he's 20, it'll be $46,000 in cash value as available, and by the time he's 70, so retirement age, 1.36 million. For the next oldest, 54,000 by the time she's 20, 1.59 million by the time she's 70.
Mm.
The twins, it's a little different, I guess, with their boy and girl or whatever, but at age 20, 77,000 and 1.69 million, and then 80,000 and 1.89 million. And then for the youngest, at age 20, 107,000, and just over 2 million at age 70.
Wow.
And I think for all of those, the premium we will have put in over the years, and then when they take it over, is in the $300,000 range.
Wow. Well, for everybody listening, this is what Einstein talks about as the 8th wonder of the world. That's uninterrupted compound interest. You're putting in 300 and you've got 1.8, 1.9. You've got millions of dollars tax-free available for whatever they're going to need in the future. And I just want real quick before, I know Jeremy has something here, but something I heard Tyler say, and I want to make it really clear for anyone listening, is he started by protecting his family, himself, and protecting his wife, their 5 beautiful children. They started there. Then he shared with his parents next. And since they're still healthy and they're able to do it, he was able to help them get started. Because one of the things we all want is, especially when family's a focus, is how do we leave things better than we found them? And I know that's what I want as a dad. I know that's what both, you guys want. I know that's what our parents want. And I think that's probably been true for all time. So then you're helping your dad and your mom set this up. So that way, when they do eventually graduate, now that comes back to you and your family in the system. And then now you're setting it up for your family or for your kids. And now by doing that, just in a span of, it sound like 2 to 3 years, you have 3 generations covered. You've expanded your banking system and you have growth in 7 different places, at least with these
Well, the
policies.
real important thing is he literally guaranteed that each one of his kids will be a millionaire. He guaranteed millionaires for his children, right? And not now let's think about his grandchildren. You mentioned the death benefit. Where does that go? Literally millions of dollars flow back into the Carson estate. And so what do? It purchases more family bank policies, right? More insurance that we do what? We use for banking to cover those purchases. When you're able to recapture all the interest that you're going to pay to debtors and creditors, it doesn't have to go to American Express. It doesn't have to go to Fannie Mae. It doesn't have to go to Ford, right? All of that interest, the cumulative interest, is flowing back into the family Carson Bank, which is also doing what? Multiplying their wealth. This is how the wealthy stay wealthy. You're recycling all that money back into your system, cutting out the middleman, and they're going straight to the Carson Bank. So that's what I love about it. It's like you literally guaranteed millionaires in your family, and you've guaranteed millionaires for your grandchildren. And if they keep, and they're good stewards of this process, everyone from you going forward will be multimillionaires. Like, how powerful is that?
Hopefully pretty powerful. I mean, not to be a little bit of a downer, I'm sure the person who in 1920 got a $10,000 life insurance policy, thought they thought they were going to be rich. So who knows? Maybe, when my kid's 70 years old and has $2 million in his policy, maybe that's what a house will cost. A starter home will cost, just with inflation and stuff. But even then, like, having generated something over all that time, instead of just paying interest to someone else, like, all that money would have gone to someone else. So, even though when you do factor in inflation, the $2 million sounds great right now, but
That's
60
just
years from now, it may not be quite so much, but still.
that's just in the policy. We can still go out and use it to invest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We can still create generational wealth outside of it with other investments. This is just the guaranteed side of the house.
Yep.
I guaranteed millionaires. How can I expand that? Well, now I'm going to use it as an opportunity fund. You use it the way Jeremy uses it, right? Run the money through the policy, use the policy to go out and invest in a safer and faster manner. That's all we're doing. We're doing nothing crazy here. If you know how a checking account works, this is just an extension of your checking account. We just do it safer and faster, and we do it on an uninterrupted compounding basis. That's it.
Wealth creators, right? We're no longer borrowers.
So Tyler, as we start to wrap things up here, what's next, man? Like you've covered 3 generations. You're using it. If I remember, I think the next purchase you're going to do is a new kitchen. Can you explain how you might be using the policy for kitchen, like everyday things?
Yeah. So we have a big family, and our house we love the house, we love the location, but it was built in the 70s, a little older, a little bit smaller, not quite as open concept as a more modern home. So yeah, we're one thing we're using some of the money in our policy for is to put an addition on the house and then remodel the kitchen. Again, with the big family, lots of mouths to feed, and just having the kitchen being a gathering spot for the family or for hosting guests or extended family over. It's good to, it'd be nice to have a bigger kitchen. So that's one thing we're doing with our money as well, with the money in the policy.
Awesome. Yeah. So just to go to show, like, everyday expenses, you can use the policy for that too. It doesn't just have to be growth. You can literally use it to improve your lifestyle. That's what I like about it. When I first came across infinite banking, I was like, infinite banking, like, what is that? And what it clicked for me was it's infinite possibilities. That's the infinite part of infinite banking. It has nothing to do with literally infinite wealth. What we're talking about is like literally infinite possibilities. How do you want to use your money? You're in full control of it. So as the owner of the policy, you get to choose what you're going to do with your money. That's really, in essence, what infinite banking is. It's the possibility to have full control.
It's the thinking. We're talking about our thinking. The infinite part of it is our thinking. It's always our imagination, our creativity. And you're seeing already, not only have you protected your kids, future purchases, you're your life has expanded because of your mindset around how you're controlling and guaranteeing your money. You're expanding now. You love your location, bigger kitchen, more family gatherings, more conversations around the values that you're creating for your children and how they're going to pay back the system when they buy the things they're going to buy through the system. Right. So now the Carson Bank gets replenished, and you guys are good stewards, which I know, I believe is really important to you from what you've shared. So.
Yeah, and just going back real quick to what Jeremy was saying, just controlling your money. That's so awesome. Like, just think about being able to take out a loan. You don't have to do an application process. You don't have to get a hit on your credit score. It doesn't go to the credit report agencies. I'm just like, I did this recently. I took some money out of my policy, took a loan out against my policy, and I just filled out the form, submitted it, and then a few days later, the money was deposited in my account. It doesn't show up. I don't get a notification from FICA saying, hey, we noticed a credit change. Your credit score went down because a new account was open or whatever. Like, it's my money. Like, I can control it. I can pay it off as fast or slowly as I need to. It's great being in charge. But yes, Jason, get back to you said, yeah, just stewardship. That's kind of the mentality I have in my life. I'm trying to instill in the kids as well. Obviously, kids will make their own choices, but my wife and I are doing all we can to raise them properly and with good values. And but yeah, just for me, just the concept of, hey, like, we're given time, opportunity, resources, whatever we're given, and then we have the stewardship over that to improve upon it. And then the story from the Bible, the parable from the Bible I like to reference is it's Matthew 25 about the 10 talents, how this king ruler goes away for a while, and he gives some of his servants, he gives one 5 talents, 5 coins or whatever, it's a measurement of money, one 3 talents and one 1 talent. And when he comes back, the one with 5 talents had doubled those, and he had 10 to give back. The one that he gave 3 doubled his and got 3, and the one that just got 1, he buried it, said, ooh, I didn't want to lose anything. And so the Lord was mad at the one that didn't do anything with it and gave it to the one that had doubled the money. So the way I kind of interpret that is, like, we're given this chance in life to do great things. Obviously, to take care of ourselves, be self-reliant, not be a burden on others, but then also to be able to have an abundance and to be able to help other people, to extend to our family, to our community, to our church communities, the nation, like whoever, starting a new charity to help people on the other side of the world. The options are infinite, as again, referencing Jeremy, of what we can do if we have resources available to use.
That's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So as we start to wrap things up, Jason, do you have anything else?
I know. I love that was a mic drop moment, is kind of how you've taken that parable and gone out and been a live example of it in your community, for your family, and for everything. It's powerful. So thank you for sharing.
Well, Tyler, it's been great having you on board. Really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story about what you're doing today, what you're planning for tomorrow. It's powerful, man. And I'd love to, invite you on maybe this time next year and see where we're at. What else have you used the capital for? How it's growing? What inventive and infinite ways over the last year that you've been using it. So thank you very much for coming on board.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite, and thank you. I mean, like I said, you were the one that really introduced me to this and got me going. So thank you for all you've done to get me to this point as well.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Well, as we start to close up, we just want to remind everyone that you're already in banking.
You're just not the banker yet.
Take care.
Take care, all. Thanks for joining us on WealthWise Banking. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and give us a like. It's a simple way to help others discover these empowering strategies and join our community. Together, we're building a network of people who believe financial freedom is within everyone's reach. Remember, financial independence is about making every dollar work for you, one step at a time. Until next time, stay inspired, stay in control, and keep building your legacy the wise way.